Kings Point Spotlight. I'm Lieutenant Tyrone Broxton. Over the course of the past several months, I've had the opportunity of speaking to some current midshipmen and alumni about their journeys out to sea. At the United States Merchant Marine Academy, it is known as the Sea Year. Over the course of a 12-month span, 4 months as a sophomore and 8 months as a junior, United States Merchant Marine Academy midshipmen travel the world, work at their future craft as a shipboard officer, and see the globe. Many of them ship out from right here in Long Beach, California, where I stand. Let's take a look at some of the places our midshipmen have been.
Lieutenant Kings Point, obstacles are unavoidable. The graduation requirement of the Academy is to sail abroad merchant vessels for 300 days with 4 years in attendance. That puts a great strain on the workload while at school, along with completion of sea projects, third mate life programs. During my sophomore year, I sailed from San Francisco to Indonesia to Cape Town, South Africa. From South Africa back to Houston. In my junior year, I served on the USMS Tippecanoe and USMS Watkins. I visited Greece, Netherlands, David Garcia, Australia, and Persian Gulf. During this time, I earned the Merchant Marine Expeditionary Medal by the Living Cargo Kuwait in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom.
So many places that we went to. For the most part, to the Mediterranean, my first vessel. I went to the Persian Gulf on a tanker ship, and then I was on a ro-ro ship out in the Pacific. So all over the place. It was a wonderful experience.
I worked, my first ship was a container line with Canadian ship with Nurse Line, a west coast to the Far East run, so I hit California, Alaska, Japan, China, Korea. Was on that ship for about 4 months. Did a few weeks on the Puerto Rico to Jacksonville route, which was beautiful.
Yes.
Second sea year, I was on a ammunition carrier preposition operated by Maran. So we carried a lot of cool things for the Navy and Army. Guam, Saipan, Japan, west coast of the US, and after that, a Mediterranean run with Mercy Lines once again.
I was actually on a Marriott ship with
We were on one
Sandy.
ship together.
Had a very good time. I hit the Med as well, Italy, Spain. I was also on a MSC ship that went to Greece. Spent some time there, the West Coast, Hawaii, California, Seattle, Washington, that area, and then Northern Europe as well.
My first sailing period, I went over to the Far East. I was on the APL Thailand, so I got to see China, Japan, Taiwan. I'm actually from Korea, so my ship went to Korea and I was able to get off and visit my aunt, who I haven't gotten to see in a long time. So she took me out to eat. Second sailing period, I stayed coastwise. I was on a tanker. It ran from Louisiana to Florida and back, and then I was on a ro-ro vessel. It ran from Seattle to Alaska.
Well, I worked on the MV Mokiana, which is a container ship. I worked on the Horizon Producer, which was a container ship, and I worked on the USMS Tippecanoe, which was basically it's a Navy tanker. We did unwraps, underway replenishments with basically fuel oil to transfer to other Navy ships. As far as where I went, on the Mokiana, I went to up and down the west coast, including Guam, like Nagoya, Yokohama, Okinawa. In Japan, I went to Xinjiang, Tianjin, and that was the run with Mokiana. On the Tippecanoe, I went everywhere. I went to Bahrain, Dubai. I went to more places in China. I went to Hong Kong. I hit Okinawa again. Went to Singapore, Malaysia. Went to the Philippines, Subic Bay. Headed to Diego Garcia, but then after we crossed the equator, we turned around and came back for the Navy. You know, what are you gonna do? And then Horizon Producer, I did an East Coast run, New York, Jacksonville, Florida, and down to Puerto Rico. So
Man, you went everywhere. Great.
I did everything but Europe, so I'm doing that on my time.
And have you guys been out to sea just yet?
Yes, sir. I was on the Matson RJ Pfeiffer. We went to Long Beach, Guam, Hawaii, and 3 ports in China.
What's your Reavers?
I was on a Military SEAL Command vessel, Shepherd, and we went to Vietnam, Guam, Japan, and Philippines.
What's great about Kings Point, unlike the other academies, is that you have a sea partner that you travel the road with. The other academies have training ships, I had the chance to sail with my sea partners all over the world, such as my first vessel was the Matson Mahi Mahi, and we traveled to Japan, China, all over California, and that was a container ship. The second vessel I sailed on was the USMS Watson, which was an MSC ship, and we sailed South Korea, Japan, and Saipan, and we carried military cargo for the U.S. Army. And the last vessel was the Horizon Hawaii, and that sailed out of Puerto Rico to New Jersey, carrying containers.
And I had 5 ships that I was on. And I went to Northern Europe, to the east coast of South America, to Australia, to the Mediterranean, and to a cruise ship in the Caribbean. And I can still remember, here I am, I'm coming into Rotterdam, Holland, the first foreign port I was ever to in my life. I'm a sophomore in college, and it was a great experience, but 10 days at sea, and now I'm coming into my first port. And I still remember that to this day. And then I remember Rio de Janeiro, and the Copacabana Beach on the east coast of South America, there in Brazil, and Brisbane, Australia. They really liked Americans in Brisbane, let me tell you. It was a great time in Brisbane, Australia, along the coast of Australia. And then going into the Mediterranean, I got a chance to go to Haifa, Israel. Got off the ship in Haifa. The chief mate let me off, and I took a bus up to Jerusalem, and it was a great time. I mean, the sea here is a memorable time. Even with all the other sailing I've done after that, I still remember my cadet sea years.
And that concludes this edition of Kings Point Spotlight. Until next time, acta non verba, and go Marin!